Okay, here we go. Hey, Mangoose, J-Pie warning.
Thank you.
Since you keep fucking complaining. Aye.
I needed a J-Pie warning too. You had the whole...
Bro, no, I'm telling you, every time I unmute us, my computer psychs me the fuck out. I think we're unmuted, and then it just freezes, and I'm like, my whole shit could have crashed. I don't fucking know. But, you're right. But, what's up, everyone? Welcome, homies. I just realized my mic is way the fuck away from me. Lit. Welcome.
Better now.
Thank you. Welcome to this week's episode of the Fault Partner Panel. Now, we have one or two things to talk about this week. Really, just more anticipation talks more than anything. And we're probably going to go into a little bit of community engagement here for some portion, as well as going over patch notes. But let's introduce ourselves, starting with the illustrious Mangoose, as always, if you could.
Thank you. I've never been described as illustrious before. What's up, everybody? I'm the Mangoose. You are awesome. We're going to get in and talk about some Fault. They changed Bellica's passive, more nerfs for Fing now. There's a lot to discuss in these patch notes. And then, of course, we'll be talking about they got their big announcement coming on the 13th, so that's going to be fun to talk about. We don't know what they're going to say, kind of. So, overbearded.
The way he just said that sentence. Yeah, yo, the way he said that sentence was like a little kid that is trying to lie but doesn't know now. It's Go ahead, Bearded.
Illustrious, is that like a form of illustration? Like it's kind of shining and scintillating.
He's glowing, bro. Look at him. He's glowing. That's not a ball joke, just in case, before somebody asks.
No, that's glaring. So, what's going on, everybody? I'm the Bearded Wolverine, your Michigan Wonder, also Fault Partner, and again, excited to bring this to you.
Over, that's it.
Stopped him.
Right? I'm like, that's it. He's like ready to win the suit. I was just like, yo, is he okay? Like, my dude had to like swallow for a second. Like, yo, hold up. Yeah. But what's up, guys? I am Windu, also known as WinduTheMace. I do content as far as mobile related content, strategy, and a little bit of racing here and there. But these episodes are purely Fault related. Now, we do cover other, third person MOBAs that are coming and stuff like that. And oftentimes you will see that we'll compare Fault in some way, shape, or form to other third person MOBAs or other games out there. But the overall goal of this chat is to try and keep it Fault related. So do keep in mind as we go forward. Now, one thing that I actually want to ask, and I'm going to ask this for the community also. I want to try and involve the community more into some of these questions today. The first one being, focusing on the patch that came out a few days ago. If you had to give me a number, 0 through 10, 10 being the highest, the best score, where would you rate this patch as far as leading up to big things? Possibility of free to play has been talked about a lot, or possibility of early access has been talked about a lot. So just this past patch specifically and where it puts Fault, what number would you give me? Goose, go.
I think in that context, that's probably like a 2. Like, it doesn't lead up to anything. This patch doesn't, I don't think. I mean, I don't think so. As a patch, I give it like a 7 or 8 because they nerf Fing Mao, so that's always a good patch in my book. But no, I thought it was a good patch, but I don't think it really does anything to lead up towards any kind of future content.
You said leading up to early access. We're already in early access.
That's shit. You're right.
It's like, what? You said free to play.
Yeah, free
or leading up to early access. I'm like,
you're right. Free to play and or full release, because it's all been talked about recently. That's what I meant to say. I don't know why the fuck I said early access. We've been in early access.
Make sure I wanted to clarify.
No, you're so 100% accurate. You're good.
I agree with Goose. I'm going to put it more of like a 3 though, just because some of the things that they are adding, like the sound effects, and then bug fixes. It's always great for that free to play, if that's what we're going towards, just kind of gearing up towards that, going into that, the less bugs we have, the better, the polished, like the sound effects and stuff of that the game is, the better it's going to be. So it definitely is going towards it, but it's not anything huge. It's not like a huge step. It's more like quality of life steps for it.
True. I mean, that's a good way of putting it, because I see in the chat, Big G just saying 3 to 4. Big R22 is saying about a 4 or 5.
Ooh, big.
I don't know
the most though. How many of you slammed right now before you gave us that number? That's that gives us that number.
He said, "Are you counting your beers?" First of all,
yeah.
But it's okay. So I don't know if I'd go as high up as a 5. Like I'm gonna kind of teeter on what Mango said. Like as an individual patch, quality of life, like Bearded mentioned too, decent patch. Like it's not a bad overall patch for the healthiness of the game. Right. But given that there's supposed to be like this big thing on the horizon, and they keep on trying to hype up like, hey, be there for the dev stream, be there for the dev stream. We got some good shit to tell you guys. It's exciting. And just like the level of patch that we got, it almost seemed to fall a little flat. Not that it wasn't a good patch, but when you're leading up to something like that, I expected like, yo, we're adjusting optimization like crazy. We're doing this and that. You get what I'm saying? Like trying to hardcore address some of the issues that we know have surfaced in like the last couple weeks,
But I mean, I'm just kind of glad we're still getting patches, because they very well could just say that there's so much big stuff coming.
True.
Just wait for patch 17. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that they're still patching the game and fixing shit right now. I think the big game changing stuff will come post this 13th announcement, and it'll be patch 17, and then we'll get a whole bunch of brand new shinies to look at. I'm just like I said, I'm just glad they're still balancing and stuff.
I still think we need another patch even before the big shiny patch, because there's people like me, and actually I was supposed to yesterday, but I didn't have time. I was never home actually. I need to get with somebody and figure out, maybe it could just be my PC. I don't think so, but I have optimization issues ever since, not this patch, but 2 patches ago when they dropped that one, and it's like, all right, we're going to DX12. And then ever since that happened, like I went from having a constant 119 to I'm constantly have to cap at 59, or I'm getting crazy drops. And even on DX12, one night I ran on DX12, constant 59. The next night I run on DX12, I'm getting drops. So I had to switch over to DX11. So I'm even have to flip flop whatever I go on. So that's, I don't think that's good to have for when we got new people. We're trying to get new people here. So we need to figure something out with that. I'm hoping they get a fix for that just before the big shiny patch. We can test it. Like, all right, yep, we're all good. Now bring the big shiny patch.
The thing is, though, if they fix it now, they're still going to break it with the shiny patch. Like we know Strange Matter by now. It's going to break.
Hopefully not.
With the new patch, and then like a couple days later, maybe even a week later, that's when the optimization will come through. Yeah, hopefully they'll just flat out get it right this time, and they won't need to do that. But I mean, that's been pretty much the expectation here. Not really shitting on Strange Matter for that. I mean, it's still, they're a small company, and it's still an early access product. I don't really expect that much out of them, but I think I don't really see the point in optimizing right now. If they're going to have this major huge patch coming out, which I mean, we're assuming it's going to be a major huge patch. I would be a little upsetty spaghetti if it wasn't, after they've hyped it up so much. But I think that optimization is going to come after that patch. Not during that patch, but after.
And I find it interesting, Bearded, because in your case specifically, you just flat out have a better PC than I do. Just flat out. Better CPU, better GPU, pretty sure even better hard drive, like legit, just like a upgrade, And I am not having any optimization issues. So I wonder what's going on with that.
I'm also streaming off the same PC too, though. And when I play, I am streaming. So
yeah, you're always streaming.
I say that I even because Arma wanted me to test it, I'm still not getting. I can get better. I don't have to cap it at 59, but I'm still getting drops, even when I'm not streaming. So there's still issues there. There's something happened that's not right. So I guess I haven't tried it with this patch. With this patch, I haven't tried anything. So not streaming. So maybe tonight after the partner panel, I'll pull one up and see what it's like. But yeah.
Now,
I've spent a lot of time in AI, messing things around, trying to figure out what's causing it. I thought I figured something out, but it was because I had VSync turned on, and that's what caused it. I literally got to a point where I thought it was the arrows. I thought it was the arrows that were causing it, because I noticed like after 10 minutes, I would set all my frames would settle down. I'm like, wait, those arrows, they go away after 10 minutes. Like, I wonder if if it's those arrows are flashing on the screen, which is causing so much on my frames. But it's because I had VSync on, and then so VSync and those arrows don't like each other at that time, anyways.
Interesting. You know what I would. And here's the thing. I was about to say something stupid that I know is an impossible ask. I was gonna say, like, I would love if like Strange Matters had like a little creator tab in their Discord specifically for helping with content creation stuff, content creation settings, Twitch settings that help, video recording settings, shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't even know what'll happen. I don't think it'll be that big.
The problem is because everybody's rig is completely different. That it's hard to put in this is a good setup, because that could be a good setup for you, but it's not going to be a good setup for me. Or I can definitely spike mine up higher because my rig is better than your rig in that situation, or whatever, or the view and the fact that you game on one PC and you stream on the other one. So your streaming setup is going to be completely different than somebody that's like me, that I'm doing both on one PC. So that would be a hard situation to do, and hard for somebody to be like, okay, let me figure out your rig setup for, we'll do yours, now, and then, all right, sit down with the next content creator and get theirs figured out. And
I would love, and I'll even volunteer on this side, that before any big event happens or whatever, like if any of the Fault partners want to hit me up and go over some settings, try to see if we can tune that shit down, I'm 100% down, whether it be video, whether it be audio, anything like that. Because I really do think that as far as like the event leading up, I really do think specifically at least partners should have that top-notch quality to execute when showing the game out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, so Strange Matters, if you're listening, hit me up, hit up the partners. Let's make sure that all that shit is down packed before anything happens. Hell, even for the dev stream, I'll be real with you. Not trying to say y'all don't know what y'all doing, but if y'all need help ever, hit me up. Heard that. What?
So let me ask you this question.
What's up?
Going off of that situation, right? So we know that they have their development server, right? The dev server that they put the new patch on, whatever, and they're over there making changes on it, and then they take it from that dev server and they'll put it on like the tester server, right? And the testers will test it, make sure everything's running right, and then they put it on that tester server and they put it on the live server. What's the difference between the tester server and the live server?
Just who has access, basically.
So why is it when something's on the tester server, everything's fine, and then when we put it to the live server, something goes wrong sometimes? What?
That really could be just for the fact that it's a more controlled environment. You get me? Like if I run, this is gonna get way too fucking technical. I'll try to dumb it down. If I run an experiment and it's the same,
guys.
No, if I run an experiment and it's the same players, just constantly playing in arguably the same servers, you get me? Then from there isn't too much change. You get what I'm saying? Like at best, you might get variation between the teams, but there isn't too much change. You feel me? When you introduce it to the mass population, now you got all these servers being used. You got people from way different connections, way different computers. Like there's so many more variables that get introduced into it. Arguably, I don't think they're going to be able to just figure out 100% of the stuff unless they create. either do a public test server like some of these other MOBAs have, where anybody can test and report shit. It just doesn't count for MMR. It doesn't count for currency. The skins don't transfer, all that shit. Unless they do a public test server like that, or just straight recruit like crazy and be like, all right, now we got 600 testers or some shit like that, then it's probably a lot. I can only imagine that just because of the design, a lot of stuff might fall through the cracks.
Gotcha.
Y'all want to get into this patch?
I just saw what Empty sent me. Whoa. Empty, I'll talk to you about it later. Yes, let's get into the patch. And as we go through it, let's see if we can incorporate the homies in the community here a little bit as we go through it. But you wanna do the honors, Mangoose? You and your illustrious voice.
Sound effects. Added hero specific recall sound effects to every hero. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you can tell
they're
who's
nice. They're
backing.
subtle too. Yep. And they're subtle. It's not like anything like this obnoxious, like crazy noise or scream or whatever. It's just a subtle like, comment or there are sometimes they are just a noise, but it's a subtle noise. It's nothing crazy.
Damn, bro, I might be deaf as shit. I didn't notice a damn thing, and I've been playing with Bearded all fucking week. So wait, like what? Like it says a voice line when you back up, or
Yeah, for certain ones. You know, it's a lot like Crunch. Crunch, says, I'll be right back or whatever is what he says, but
Okay.
they all have something that says that.
shit.
But
All right.
like some of them, I think Morgash might be like more like a moan or something like that, or some kind of grunting or something, like noises. Like I said, they're not all voice lines, but they're just some kind of
Character specific shit.
Do you think
Yeah.
you could recreate the sound, Bearded? Do you think you could go ahead and simulate that?
I mean,
Right?
if your mom comes over, I could definitely make that noise again.
Is it as passionate as a Muriel that's almost dying? That's a real question.
Oh shit, that was good.
Bug fixes.
Bug fixes. Aspects Beast Hunter fixed an issue causing reduced jungle minion damage when the aspect was equipped.
That's what I call your mom.
Well, I mean,
What? What the fuck is that? Oh my gosh.
know that this was a problem. Do they mean that the jungle minions were dealing less damage, or you were dealing less damage to the jungle minions?
I think it's the jungle minions were doing the jungle minions were doing less damage to you.
Which technically isn't that, or wasn't that at least at one point one of the perks of Beast Hunter? If you had it equipped, jungle minions did less damage to you. It was like a jungle specific perk.
I don't know.
Back when Beast Hunter was jungle specific perk, I believe it was something similar to that, or very close to maybe.
So maybe whenever they switched it over and made it this whole adaptive power scaling situation, maybe that's just something that kind of slipped under the cracks and it was still giving reduced damage.
Yeah.
Giving you a jungle advantage. Interesting.
That or maybe when they made a change or whatever, something like that, the old part came a part of the old part of it came back or whatever, or got put back in somehow when they did like a copy pasta.
Speaking of copy pasta, this is a weirdly worded one. Buffs no longer transfer if you kill the carrier post mortem.
I don't like
How
that.
do you kill somebody post mortem?
Touche.
I just
Touche.
if you die, but you had already queued up an ability, that it won't transfer to your dead body.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And that's what somebody was saying, that the
Or like if
buffs no
OverPrime
longer
kills
transfer.
somebody and you get the kill for it, you know what I mean? Like let's say you died. Yeah, you died and OverPrime got the kill and it gave you credit.
Oh, yeah. Same with
Yeah.
the tower. Right.
Or like a tower, like a tower
Yeah.
dive maybe or something.
As long as it's within that time frame that you did the last damage, whatever, the minion or tower or some kind of other objective, not another
Interesting.
opponent.
So were people spawning with buffs?
Yep.
Yeah, people were, I guess, responding with buffs.
You imagine? You'd be like, I had 3 fucking buffs. Lit. 1v1 me now, bitch.
Yeah. So when I read that, I literally, when the patch dropped, I read that. I'm like, huh? I was like, I'm like, does this mean the buff doesn't transfer? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I remember we had a whole chat about it. It's like, yeah, I'll be real with you. That ports modem's kind of fucking me up. But it's very well said, Goose. Thank you for explaining that. And Dudikoff actually just said it in the chat. If a minion kills somebody after you die, it would have transferred. That's another example that happens all the fucking time. That one random minion bullet that follows them and they get the kill.
Forever. Yep.
True.
Hold on, before we go, because you brought that up, and I want to talk about that. Do you guys think that the minions should have non-stop homing? Should you have the ability to escape if you reach a certain threshold, and that's like that, like, all right, hey, I got so far that at a certain time that minion shot should have a drop off and like not actually hit you.
Yeah.
So the carry inside of me says, fuck that shit, put a range on it. Like after like 1,500 units, it disappears or some shit like that. Or it falls down or whatever.
Something like that.
But it'd be kind of broken if you're good at leashing though.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe it follows you farther, but like if you're able to, like I said, like I'll go up and let's say I kill the other enemy carry, right? And because I killed the enemy carry, I now have minion aggro, but I'm running back to my tower. If I'm able to run X amount of units and not get hit by that bullet, then I feel like I've done my due diligence to evade it. Like I'm like, all right, hey, that doesn't count anymore because I've gotten away. Like, but you could literally, I don't know if it's fast enough, but you could literally pretty much go back all the way to base, stand on base, and that bullet's gonna follow you all the way there, and there you go, you got hit.
Yeah, it sucks as a sport too, because you're watching it happen, and you know that there's nothing. You can't just stand in between them and the minion and soak up that damage. Like it doesn't work that way.
Right.
It'd be cool if you could do that.
Sports would be fucked though. Could you imagine that?
Bro, Narbatch would be clutch. Take those extra hits and heal it, right?
You would be so low so fast.
Bro, the only thing you can do right now is run in the opposite direction and hope to God you still have a potion to activate for 3 seconds. And you better hope you take back that damage that you're about to get because you're like, ah!
Yep. And real quick, while we're on the minions, Big R brought it up. They need to fix the minion aggro too, where they follow you into the jungle or halfway through the jungle, then finally run back. They need to hit a point when they cross that fog wall, they turn around, like, or something like that. Maybe that's too close or whatever. That's not far enough for them.
I think fog walls should be the line. Like the moment it crosses into the jungle, be like, hey, chill the fuck out. You're a lane minion. Get out.
Yep. So almost make it to where like a fog wall, like code it to where like a minion like runs into the fog wall, and then they get all dizzy. Oh shit, my bad, I can't go that far. And then they turn around, go back, like, all right, I know what I'm doing, and they go back to their path.
The way it used to work in Paragon, it was basically a line of sight thing. The moment you cross that fog wall, technically the minions for a split second don't see you, and they're like, oh, they don't see anybody, time to go back. Like it would be instant because it's like, where did he go, George? Like straight out, like gone.
Sometimes, but even in Paragon, you could kite the fucking lane minions out into the goddamn jungle pretty far sometimes.
Well, but that's because true, but because it was based off of vision, right? Like if you technically stood at the edge of the wall and just kept giving them a little bit of vision and eventually get them to cross over, they would technically, I still see him, I'm gonna chase him. So touche, not a perfect system, but I'd much rather have that instead of going to hit gold buff and I still got an entire wave of minions hitting me in the back because they walked into the jungle. And now I walk back into lane and there's 2 waves of enemy minions. I'm like, what the fuck is happening, bro? I'm helping them. Shit.
Right. Yeah, no, something that needs to get fixed as well, too. I think that's something, a little quality of life, because that is annoying. Like I'll go in, like, all right, because like the support will go in, help the carry, I help the jungle. All right, I hit my minion. Let me follow in. And now I'm going, all right, we're going to attack. Well, shit, now not only are we attacking the enemy, we also got enemy minions that are sitting there. I'm like, fuck, we gotta kill all this shit. Like this is insane.
Yes, bro. Every time a fight starts in the river, I on purpose, I'm like, yo, stairs, go deeper, bro. Like, no, we're not fighting way the fuck back here. Just send it, bitch. Oh, poor guy. Anyway. Deeper, bro. Yo, if she calls me bro, we gotta have a different chat. Anyway. Heroes.
Fix the bug causing heroes to gain movement speed when their movement penalties from certain abilities refreshed.
Oh my gosh.
Such as Fing Meow's Imperial Sentence and Sparrow's Piercing Shot.
I saw in Gen Chat
They were gaining movement speed?
with Fang Mao. They basically were zooming across the map. They had like 14,
after they had used their arc.
Yeah, they had like 1400 fucking movement speed, and like it was like constant.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Interesting. Those are some pretty like key abilities too. Just spam the ultimate and you would get movement speed on Feng Mao, or spam the sniper shot on Sparrow and you would get movement.
Yep.
Well, now we know why Bearder was playing Sparrow so much. Next. Got him.
All right. Here's some hero specific bug fixes. Relentless. Sparrow will now gain stacks from attacking Lesser Helix. I didn't know she was not gaining stacks from that.
I didn't either.
Which, can I say, if we can't tell that a stack is happening, there should be some visual indicator at least. Like make the arrows glow a little bit more or some shit. You get what I'm saying? Or make them change color. Like let's say it starts off like a white arrow and the more shots you land, it start turning more red. And by the time you're full stacks, you're straight shooting red arrows. Just a cool little visual animation or something.
That would be great. And when they get, I think that's more of like a final full release like addition to that, I believe. But something just right now for us players and quality of life,
Like
just have a little flare on your passive indicator. You know how like when you level up, you get that like it almost flares up and it's letting you know, hey, you know, you can level up. Just have that little flare, just a little something that shoots up there, like, hey, I got a stack. I got a stack. I got a stack. You know, and let you know, and then it's like, and that can change colors on like, hey, that was a red flare, that's 2 stacks. Bam, that's a green flare, that's 3 stacks. Whatever, you know, like.
I wonder how much work it would be to add like a little glowing, or not even glowing, like little particle animation or something. You get me? Like you know how they did with Gideon's passive, his arms glow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
They literally could just make her bow glow. Like it doesn't have to be nothing too crazy, but just something to let me know I'm getting stats.
Well, having her bow glow on coding it to where it glows on the stacks. It'd be different, but I mean, it also shouldn't be too hard because her bow glows for her ultimate. So,
okay.
But then you're gonna have to be careful with that because of the fact that you're.
Might get confusing.
Wait, hold! Is she in her ultimate? Or is that passive? What am I trying to dodge right now?
Everybody knows as soon as that shit gets turned sideways, that's the ultimate, bro.
Yeah.
If you're confused, we gotta have a chat.
What's Sparrow goes gangsta? You're not getting out of there. What's fucked up is that when you mentioned an indicator, I immediately thought, my brain immediately went to an article of clothing should fall off every time she gets a stack.
Jesus Christ, Goose. I can't with you.
Like immediately. Strip archery. Let's do it.
Jesus Christ.
Countess, Dark Drain.
I'd give her a stack.
Executing minions with Shadow Slip, her Q, will now appropriately apply her passive. So, guess that wasn't working before?
Yeah, I would have never known. I literally haven't touched Countess since like the second day she got added. So.
I plan to. I want to play a little more Countess and Fault personally.
I can imagine she's gotten a lot smoother. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, dude, she's been there from the beginning, bro. I tried her like day 2, and okay, so in SMS's credit, right?
She's been added. I'm like, added. I
have 2 games played ever, bro.
Since she's been here.
I literally have only 2 games, and to SMS's credit, she probably feels way better now, right? But when I tried her like almost 2 years ago, before early access, I was like, no, not for me. Fuck that. Nope. I don't even like vampires. Fuck Blade. Nope.
That's a great analogy for how players view Fault, for real. They tried it 2 years ago when it came out, and they're like, fuck that. No, I don't want no part of it.
Even though more games of Countess than you do. I got
so much more improved now.
You know what? And I guess there really is no way to defeat that stigma except just getting somebody to try it.
Yeah, to try it again, yeah.
But like I tell you, like just from personal experience, like again, like she probably feels a million times better. It's literally been 2 years since I tried Countess. But every time I contemplate it, I'm like, I ain't doing it. I'm scarred.
Yeah.
I ain't doing it. Where the fuck is Bellica? Nope.
Back to that stigma, like we need to get, that's another thing that'd be huge marketing in a sense, is you're able to get a group of people that haven't played the game for that long or whatever, and then hey, just try it one more time, especially when when they finally do go free to play. Here you go, it's free to play. Try it one more time. Let me know let me know your opinions now, if we've improved, if we where we're lacking, and get that, because when they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, and they pull a goose, like, man, since patch 13 this has been great. Like they come in and play like, oh man, this is a great improvement. That word of mouth is going to travel a lot farther.
Mm-hmm.
True. I mean, it would honestly be cool, even if it's just a short couple seconds video. It's like, hey man, I stopped playing Fault for this reason, and just like show people how they feel now. Even if they say some shit like, hey, I feel like they still got a lot of room to improve. I feel like the game still has, certain things that need added and stuff, but at least compared to where it was, it's like light years ahead.
Right.
You get me?
Right.
Like even a statement like that, even saying they still got a lot of shit that they got to work on, would be huge for the perspective that a lot of people see. And people might see that shit and be like, hey, maybe I should give it a shot. If it's not that bad, maybe I'm not as picky as that guy. So
yeah,
wouldn't be cool. It would be cool. Sorry.
So we're getting Abori to try it again? Is that what we're saying?
Oh, yeah, that's going to happen. Grim.exe. Deflect.exe is RMB. Blocking an ability will no longer cause the visual effects to stay on until death or reactivation. Item effects will now be blocked and remove the shield.
Wait, so Eldridge?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like on hit effects too, or?
Whoa,
I would imagine it's just item like.
So, no, I think maybe on hit effects too, and maybe that's why you saw that Bellica passive change, which we'll talk about in a second. The Bellica passive was an on hit effect, and maybe after this change, every time Bellica shot a basic, maybe it was disabling the drone. So they're like, hey man, we got to rethink that basic. We got to rethink her passive. Cause, Eldritch Flame? Yo, poor Grim if there's a Mori around, bro. Like, what?
Yeah.
Just constant tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, you'd be blocking the wrong thing over and over because you don't want to block one tick of Eldritch Flame. Like, you don't want to you're blocked for that.
Imagine you're trying to time that Mori ult, but you're getting the damage over time at the same time. And then you see the ult coming, but you see yourself ticking. You're like, fuck! Click, I missed it! Like, yo, I can.
Yeah. That would suck.
Interesting. I almost feel like that's low-key a nerf to Grim. Even, maybe it's because they simplified him and made him easier to play? Maybe? Oh. Not sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a nerf. That's not low key a nerf. That's definitely a nerf.
You guys ready to get into balance? You want to talk about Grim some more? All right, let's talk about balance then. Aspects: Opportunist. Isolation is now based off of nearby allied heroes instead of enemy heroes. Big buff to Opportunist.
I mean, true. But do you think?
Can you explain it to me?
So
I'm confused.
So Opportunist gives you extra damage whenever it was a one-on-one before, right? But now it gives you the bonus damage as long as there's only one enemy in the area. So for example, I saw somebody destroy the shit out of solo lane because they picked Opportunist and kept ganking solo back to back to back. Because it was always a 2v1 and they were getting the Opportunist buff because there was no other enemy allies showing up.
Well, this makes it too that they could gank duo lane, and it doesn't matter if there's a Muriel and a Sparrow right next to each other. As long as there's no allies in the vicinity, you're still going to deal that increased damage to Sparrow. This isn't just 1v1 anymore if it no longer counts enemy heroes. If somebody comes to help the jungler, you're not going to lose Opportunist if you're ganking the jungle.
Okay, no. So I actually read it backwards then. Yeah. So if anything, it goes based off of your allies, not the enemy heroes.
Right. So it's not 1v1. You could be by yourself against two enemies and still have the benefits of
Opportunities
opportunists,
buff.
as long as none of your homies roll up on you.
I'll be honest with you though, I still don't really see that many people run that shit.
I've always ran it, mainly not even for that, but for the fog wall speed boost that
Right?
it gives.
I mean, I could see, let's see, like a jungler that loves like to counter gank. I mean, to counter jungle, and they're always running into the other jungler like on purpose.
Mhm.
I could totally see like a Chimera or a Boris with opportunists just trying to get that quick kill and get out of there. You know, even if even if the solo laner shows up, they still got the opportunist damage. Or am I wrong on that one? I'm right. Because there's no other allies near you. So as long as you don't have allies near you, you get the opportunist buff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then even if you pull like an
I
AoE
think you're
ability,
thinking, but aren't you thinking aggressor though?
No,
The one where you go through
The counter jungling would be the aggressor one, because that's why you're in enemy territory. You gain the physical power based on level.
so yes, but now imagine aggressor and opportunist. You not only gain extra power if you're in their jungle, you gain extra power if you don't have allies around you.
Mhm.
So now you're getting double the power bonus while you're in his jungle and he doesn't have. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Might be worth trying. Might be an it.
I don't know if I've ever seen.
Guess we'll find it. Guess we'll find that in one of my videos, Rip.
this is a buff to Kalari.
You'd have to play the game.
I could see that.
Video about it though.
True.
Warlock's big changes to the Warlock aspect. Warlock's damage ability was seen as having multiple issues with the team. The damage was not consistent enough to balance well and lacked visual feedback for the enemies. While trying to tie our blue aspects into a common theme of utility and resource restoration, we have decided to change Warlock's bonus damage into a passive that grants mana regen on leveling and takedowns. Removed fourth activated ability no longer deals bonus damage, and new restores 20% of your max mana over 3 seconds on leveling up, and restores 5% of your max mana over 3 seconds on every hero kill or assist. So major change to Warlock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say that shit was pretty fire on Narbash.
Oh, really? You used Warlock on Narbash?
Hell yes, I did, bro. Because think about it. You level up, you got 20% of your max mana.
Oh, you're talking about the new
Clutch.
Warlock. I thought you were talking about the old Warlock.
Oh, no. I mean, the new one. No. So think about it.
The new one working.
You leveled up 20% of your max mana. Bet. And every time you got an assist, you would restore 5%. So that means my heals stayed active. You get me?
Yeah.
I still had the mana for the thunk. Like even those little bits, like you, like literally, again, might be an int. That's just me. But going Warlock Magician was kind of clutch. I always had mana as a Narbash. That's just me though. You don't got to do what I do. I'm a little different. Bearded can attest. Mangoose can attest a little bit too. But I have better luck with Mangoose, so don't ask him.
Oh no, this is a weird change, man. This is such a huge change. I do like this mana restoration. I think in the long run, it'll be of great benefit, but it's going to suck to lose out on that extra damage. That extra damage could be huge a lot of times if you timed it well. And I think that the fourth activated ability allowed for far more skill expression from the player than what this does. This is just, you get some mana back. Whereas it used to be, if you knew how to time your abilities right, like you could
do a Mori ult on the Warlock or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Or like the Void Bomb on Bellica or something like it. Yeah.
As an ADC main, I like it because it makes it to where those mages aren't just destroying people with that fourth ability and stuff like that, because like they do enough damage as it is. And I like it also because there really isn't anything good for mana regen in the game. There's not really good items that are just like are going to give you good mana regen. So this is like that one option that you can actually have to get the mana regen back.
I mean, you already had Magician though.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that there's 2 mana regen ones now, so you can choose to just have a constant based off of max mana, or just a constant based off of kills, assists, or levels, right? Like very, very different expressions there. And still remembering that the other half of Warlock is there. But I will say, over the games that I've gotten in the last week since this patch, I haven't really seen mages pop off as often. So that leads me to believe that that difference in warlock damage is probably more substantial than what a lot of people thought it would be. Especially on characters like a Gideon that could wombo combo those rocks. Not getting that extra damage as frequent as he did, I can imagine is affecting a lot of people in laning. It was definitely affecting me. Like when I played that Bellica game, I honestly, like, even though I had an okay beginning, I know for a fact that with the original Warlock, that Void Bomb would have been clapping, because I would have been timing that shit just straight. Knock up Void Bomb. Next time I do knock up Void Bomb, that Void Bomb gonna slap, because I timed it with the 4th. Now that shit isn't there, and yeah, I mean, you could tell. You definitely could tell. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see, because typically, if something like this happens, I promise you there's like a cracked mage item around the corner. Watch. Right.
I think, because you're right, the magician does have that mana regen, but that's, I mean, it's that every second? What is it?
Yeah, it just increases your overall mana regen.
Yeah, 0.3% missing mana regeneration per second. So,
whereas Warlock is like a burst of mana.
Right, so that's permanently gained. So but in 20 minutes into a game,
no.
Mana regens.
So it scales off of the amount of mana that you're missing. So the more mana you're missing, the more mana regen you have. But the moment you go back up to full mana, your mana regen is back to stock, back to normal.
So then you have to restart your. So
no, there's no building of the stacks.
There's no counter.
There's no counter, no building of the stacks. Whatever mana you're missing, that takes a part in how much mana you get back per second.
Right. But I mean, so this is permanently gained. So it's permanently gained. So I'm saying, like, every second, like, so 30 seconds into this, you're getting that 0.3% times 30, right? So, So now if I use an ability, takes 100 mana away, right? I'm getting that. All right. And then so now farther into this game, 20 minutes into this, whatever that math adds up to be, I use that 100 mana again. It's going to regen that much faster now?
No. You permanently get the ability to have that regen tied to your missing mana.
Yeah, I think the wording is just weird.
Mana regen, increased mana regen every time you're missing mana. You don't. That's not a permanent effect.
It's just saying that the regen is a permanent buff that's always active, but it really scales when you're missing mana. The moment you're not missing mana, that number goes back down to like that 0.3 regen that or whatever.
So it restarts over, and then you use an ability now for the next time, for it, whatever it takes you to get that full bar again.
Like if you use your entire kit and you're at half mana, you now have more mana regen. If you use your entire kit again and you're like at a quarter mana, now you have even more mana regen. If you're full mana and drop one Gideon rock, you have barely any mana regen because you barely have spent mana. So it's one of those perks that as long as you had it, you quite literally just never really ran out of mana unless you were trying, like hardcore trying. But now they have an alternative where it's like, hey, you'll get mana regen when you need it or when you successfully execute. Like, for example, on a Countess, Warlock would be clutch instead of Magician. Because now you get the mana back if you kill somebody. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If you didn't kill them, you're probably dead as Countess.
This is a early game too, because of the getting that mana regen with levels. You're getting levels so fast.
As you're leveling up, faster up. Yep. No, I agree. Okay. Sorry.
It might actually encourage more trading in lane for like mages or anybody carrying Warlock.
Yeah.
Because that way they can trade, get a kill, or get levels, spam the waves quickly. They're going to get mana back to be able to do something. So that way they won't be as frugal in the early rounds, get a little bit more action. Who knows? We'll see.
Let's move on to heroes.
Oui.
The balances for heroes. Countess, Shadow Slip, her Q, slow percentage increased from 38, 41, 44, 47, 50 to 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Going once, going twice. Countess sold for a buff to Shadow Slip. And her feast are base damage increased from 180, 300, 420 to 200, 325, 450. So Countess just getting buffed across the board here.
That's big. That ult damage?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty spicy. And then I'll be honest with you. I didn't think her Q needed a buff to slowing people. I never saw somebody say, Countess jumped on me. Good thing I can run away, right?
I was slowed. Yeah.
I didn't really.
Big
that one's a.
When your mind
whoa.
when she shadow slips.
Yeah, bro. I know for a fact she's about to scream in my ear. The last thing I'm thinking is, oh no, molasses. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, I mean, overall above. I think that has more to do with like a Countess that teleports to like a Murdock and she gets pushed away. Now they're still slow. There's a chance she can still catch back up. Which I guess you could counter argue and say that kind of defeats the purpose of being able to push her away, right?
Yeah. So what's the point now? You might as well just save the ability.
Well, I see this more of a defensive tool than anything. You shadow slip somebody.
Oh, trying to run away and trying to juke them and shit.
They're slowed when they're trying to, yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
And now Feng Miao. Feng Miao has been performing pretty well thanks to his more bruiser-like stats. In order to bring him more in line with his diver class, we have adjusted his health, resistances, and move speed slightly, while also lowering his damage on his ultimate. So his base health is reduced from 540 to 535. Health per level reduced from 88 to 85. Base movement speed reduced from 585 to 570. Energy armor per level reduced from 1.3 to 1.2. And Imperial sentences are base damage reduced from 150 to 135. And damage per hero level reduced from 16.667 to 15. I'm not going to read all that.
Jesus, bro, they made it an equation. 15 point and then 250 minus 450 is now 225 to 405, depending on the level. What the fuck? Okay.
So it's kind of like what we were talking about on the last partner panel is that he needs a distinction between being a bruiser or an assassin. Because right now he's both a bruiser and an assassin. And now we have it. They're nerfing the bruiser part of him.
I mean, are they really though? It's like they nerfed the base health by 5 HP. And then they nerfed the scaling per level by 3. 3 times 18 plus 5 HP is 1.5 or 1 auto, not even an auto late game. You get me? So like my dude now has 170 less HP late game. Ooh, he's squishier. Like I don't see that as I think a bigger nerf to him was the nerf in the base movement speed, because that'll hurt him quite a bit early, and then that energy armor per level. I could see that being more impactful instead of the health that he's getting personally.
Right. But I mean, little changes to the tuning knob like this, when you really think about it, like if you're looking at their win percentages, like 60% is way too high for a hero, right? But if you can just adjust that number a little bit so that it drops down to like maybe 55%, that's fine. You don't want to fucking hit it so hard that it goes down to 40% and they're unplayable.
Right.
The smallest adjustments to this tuning knob are going to drop his win percentages just a little bit. It may not be noticeable on a game-to-game basis, but it will be noticeable overall if you look at his overall win percentages. So again, I think they introduced him way too strong, and they could have really fucking turned down that knob quite a bit at first. I think he's at a place right now where these small adjustments will be they'll be felt in the long run.
Small adjustments like going from 16.667 to 15.450.
From 1.3 to 1.2.
So words. I think his ultimate, the resetting on the ultimate, right? I still think that needs to be. I like the reset. I like the fact that it's there, right? It adds their own flair to the hero, right? Because he didn't have that in Paragon, right? There was no reset on his ultimate. If you successfully got an execution, you didn't get it. It didn't get, hey, it's still available.
I think he did towards the end.
Did he?
Yeah, towards the end.
Oh, I don't know. But can I just add to the 2 cents so you can keep going?
Yeah.
Am I the only one that feels like the damage of his ult isn't the issue with his ult? Like the fact that he went down in damage on it, I mean, okay, cool. Like I get it. But I think it's more of a problem with the execution and the repeating of that execution.
But bringing the damage down isn't that what he gets multiplied, right? Like if he makes successful execute, doesn't his power get? What is that? How does that work? Is that because of his damage? So if we lower his damage, does his power that he get, because that gets higher, right? Scaling with that?
You know what? I'm gonna look this up. I thought it was just like based off of a percentage of health.
Okay.
I'll confirm it right now.
So, but anyways, I like the idea of the reset. It kind of adds a little different style. You know, it makes him gives him different abilities or whatever, more diverse of the hero pool, right? So I like the idea of it, but I just think the fact that it's 12 seconds in between, like that's a whole 5-on-5 fight. Like 12 seconds, like.
So the website says he executes anybody under 150 HP.
Right, but I mean, like, what does he get? What's his scaling for? He goes, doesn't he get like if he doesn't execute, if he doesn't his ultimate, not even if he executes the ultimate, he gets something back, right? He scales power off of that.
So he gets permanent power if he successfully executes. Okay. So there's that. And then the damage that his ultimate does, in case it's not an execute, does scale. And that's what they did adjust on this patch. But as far as the execute in itself, it looks like it's just 150 HP from what I see here.
Got you. Right. That's his execute level, right? He's got to be
the threshold.
The threshold, right, for it to be an execution. And that's fine. I'm not worried about that, because that's not what we're talking about here. But I wonder, would it still be an execute even though the base damage isn't high enough for it?
Oh, you know what? That's a great point. Because technically he executed at 150, right? And that was the base damage. So does that mean that the execute threshold is now 135? But they didn't say that.
That's what I got from this. That's what I was thinking the whole time.
So that didn't even hit me.
Him or no?
It would be a nerf. If that's the case, it would be a nerf because they have to be weaker. Barely, but they have to be weaker to get the execute. So at least, towards early game, it'll be more impactful.
Right.
Damn, anyway, I'd love to get clarification. Yeah.
I just think 12 seconds is too long, right? I think that just pretty much gives you free reign of still getting pentakills, no matter what damage it is. And now what this does here, and I've noticed it in game, this makes it to where Feng Mao is not going to be a fed hero that easy. Like you literally have to work to get fed, right? It's not just as like, all right, here we go. 8 minutes in, I'm already fed. I love it. It's not like that anymore, which is good. That's what we don't want him to be. But I still feel that reset timer is too long, and it makes it for more skill. For somebody to get a penta off of that, you should be able to like maybe get a couple of the resets off the execution, but then also you have to use your dash, reset to get a kill in there as well. You shouldn't be able to execute all 5. Like, all right, look at my penta, I'm amazing at this game. No, you're really not. It's just that easy of a hero. And I think it adds more skill if you bring that timer down to be able to get everything off in that amount of time.
You know what? I will say, Bearded, in the games that we got a chance to play throughout, I didn't see any busted Feng Maos. Like, I didn't see any Feng Maos that just ran the lobby. And we got a couple games in. So I wonder if that alone was enough of a change to get him to stop scaling so quickly. Because maybe it's that. Maybe it's not the issue that he was scaling well. Maybe it was the issue that he was scaling too early. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I definitely like the fact that they're straight up saying we're pulling him away from Bruiser. We're pulling him more into the diver class, the duelist class, or was that the original name that they used? Duelist, I think it was, or
Duelist is what they called him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So
you guys can thank us for that because we talked about it in the last partner panel. So you're welcome.
He said, "You're welcome, son."
You guys ready to move on to Lieutenant Bellica?
Let's go.
Oui.
After receiving a lot of community feedback on Bellica's passive feeling unimpactful, we have decided to try changing her passive to focus around dealing damage to enemies on low mana. Although we don't believe we will be changing Bellica's command drone, her E, to drain mana over time in the future, we will be looking into how to tie this ability together with this new passive in the coming patches. So her Void Drone, her passive has been removed. You no longer get your little buddy over your shoulder, granting bonus on hit energy damage for successful basic attacks. The new one, her damage from abilities is increased by 0.4% for every 1% of the target's missing maximum mana, up to a maximum of 30% bonus damage at 80% missing mana. And her Neural Disruptor, her R, is that's been removed, no longer deals damage based on the target's missing mana. That's
Just
because
flat
it's
damage.
already just gonna always deal damage now because of her passive. So it's
So
not really that it's been removed, it's just
They
it
reworked
just
her.
ties in with her
Yeah.
passive. Yeah.
Right.
So I will say though, I like the direction that they're kind of going with her, because they're slowly but surely trying to encourage people as like, hey, use these blue items that give you attack speed or on hit effects. You just use this Magus crossbow on her, please, for the love of God. Use her basics for the love of God, you know? So I think you're gonna start seeing people with what's it called? Brace guard, some shade, the blue gauntlet. What's the name?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The one that, yeah, the elephant trunk that has the thrusters on the side.
Does it gauntlet?
Yeah, but blue one.
Okay, yeah. Arcane something.
Anyway,
Fire?
that's a good guess.
No.
No, that's a good fucking guess. Yeah, that was a long shot, but I'll give you that.
Arcane Surge.
Hey,
Hey, look at him. He's too good, bro.
Sugar.
Arcane sugar.
That's what I always call it. Yeah, give me that arcane sugar.
But no, I can totally see them trying to encourage people.
Sugar.
But I can see them trying to encourage people to use Arcane Surge, to use Magus Crossbow, items that take advantage of a basic and the on-hit effects, the damage that a basic could do when you're scaling all that energy power. You get me? So I don't know how I feel about this comment here. We don't know if we're gonna change her drone back to draining mana, because now her basics, the damage on her basics, the passive, is based off of missing mana, but she has no real way to drain your mana at all. She just has to hope.
No, her basics don't deal more. Well, I guess her basics do deal more damage, won't they? Is it all damage?
Well, it said damage from abilities.
Damage from abilities. So that.
Oh, okay.
Basics. So you're coming about this sideways when.
Yeah, no, I can't read. Help! I'm in Florida. Somebody send me a book. Yikes.
There's less incentive for her to use basics now because it's
No, you're 100% accurate.
Yeah,
you're 100% right. I was totally wrong. Way backwards. They want to focus on abilities, not basics.
I think the interesting thing here, what can they do with their E? What if it's not going to drain mana? What the hell can they do with it? Because right now it's just a boring ass ability that nobody even fucking puts points into until they absolutely have to.
Yeah, I don't upgrade it.
It was there before as an activation for Warlock, and that's not there anymore. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so I might get crucified for saying this. What if they made her E an AoE slow? Like the drone makes this like wave of energy or whatever the fuck animation they want to put on the ground
P-pulse almost.
or something. Or what if it's that? Like, what if it's like, yo, like as long as you're inside the drone radius and they make it shorter, it's now a silence because the drone is hitting you with an EMP. You can't use abilities.
ooh, that would be pretty overpowered. That would have to be.
Well, it depends on the range, right? Like they could make it.
Yeah.
They can make it short or make it so you can go back to destroying the drone if you apply damage to it.
I like the slow idea, but the slow is based on missing mana. That would tie it into her passive. So if you're at full mana, you're not really slowed at all. But if you're at like really low mana, then you're slowed as fuck.
That would be super interesting. So she
Maybe
fucks you up.
20% slow or something like that. But
Right. That would be cool. I like that. I mean, since you added that, it kind of makes it like better than what I had. The idea I had was because her passives, everything's based off missing mana. What if her drone was a what is that guy from fucking Apex? He sets out a fake
Mirage,
yeah, the clone.
But he sends out, it sounds like it's almost like a clone in a sense, but like the only way, there's no way for it to do damage, so people would be stupid to waste their ability, but somehow make it to where you have to damage it with an ability, because if you damage it with an ability, you're using mana. And
no, bro, I'll be real with you. That would be spicy as shit. If she could, like, if I'm walking forward and press the button, I can send a clone through the fog wall, and then they waste their ability, and it's now on cooldown for 7 seconds or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Or even if they just shoot a basic, I now know they're there. That might be a little broken. That might be more broken than the slow Mangoose is talking about, to be real with you. Because you imagine, pop around the corner, Mora gets marked. Now her mark is on cooldown. That bitch is dead. Let's go. Like, you imagine a steel ulting a clone? Holy shit. You were going to rage-induce everybody in that fucking lobby, bro.
I didn't necessarily mean it as a clone, but just something that's gonna make the enemy team use an ability, right? You know, like right now the bubble, right? You get that, your ability bubble, the ages, or
Aegis, yep.
the ages, or the bubble gun, right? You get that bubble. The only way to destroy that bubble is with an ability, right? So something like that, like, the only way you can stop this drone from whatever it's doing, whatever you make it do, would be an ability. And the reason I'm saying that is because of her passive, it's based off missing mana. If you force them to use an ability, you're forcing them to miss mana.
Okay, I see where you're going at with that. Real Easy in the chat said, anything clone related is 100% more up Wraith's alley. I 100% agree. That would be something cool to add on Wraith.
Yeah.
But I see where you're coming from. Like, it has to be something that has to do either with the ability of draining mana. Maybe they can make it so it's not like it permanent mana drains, but if you use an ability in the circle, instead of causing damage, it'll drain mana. I don't know. Maybe they could kind of experiment with it in different ways.
Building off of what Bearded said about forcing them to use an ability, they could bring back her old passive a little bit so that the drone, whenever you inside that field of the drone, whenever you basic attack somebody, the drone also fires on them to deal some energy damage. And the only way and it's immune to basic attacks, the only way you clear it is hit it with an ability.
There you go. That's what I said. I couldn't think of a way to make you, because obviously the way the drone is now, it doesn't attack. It literally just sits there. So why would I use an ability on it? So I'm just going to walk around it and keep attacking what So yeah, so if you did that, it's again immune to basics. You have to use an ability on it. That's a way to get her passive, or to her passive still work, because you'll be missing mana at that time. So you have to decide. Do I take the energy damage from it, or do I get rid of it so I'm not
right? And that would still tie in with her new passive, because that energy damage from the drone would be affected by their missing mana, the amount of damage that it does. So.
Yeah.
All right, we solved it.
There you go.
You're welcome.
SMS, we'll take our 10% from that.
Oh, 10% of the messages Ryan Red gets. Then never mind. All right, next.
Next is FaZe. FaZe has been suffering with various issues that made her kit unhealthy and unfun for others to play against, as well as having scalings based on her passive make it hard to understand how much damage you might be dealing to a target at a given time. To try and fix some of these issues that the team saw with her current implementation, we have decided to alter her 3 or 4 abilities currently working. We decided to alter how 3 of her 4 abilities currently work. Removing damage scalings based on her passive, removing debuffs given to an enemy linked unit when ulting, and changing her slow to give increased regeneration stacks instead of slowing the target for a longer duration. To make up for the debuffs and some of the buffs removed from the ultimate, we have now changed the movement speed buff to grant the effects in an area instead of just to her and her linked ally. Okay, whew, that was hard to get through. Psychic Link or R&B, deal 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 40% energy power scaling over 2 seconds while attached to an enemy, and deal 40, 60 blah, 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 damage to it if the tether does not break during the duration stunning the target. Removed. No longer deals a percentage of phases health and mana regeneration as damage. And cooldown reduced from 24, 21, 18, 15, 12 to 20, 18, 16, 14, 12. So just
this ability is strong as fuck in this game.
You think so?
Yes, that game you and me were playing, dude, she was half healthing me with that ability. Because I'm getting the damage off of the link for the 2 seconds. And then when the link stays on, I'm getting that damage too. And next thing you know, I'm like half health. I'm like, what?
Okay, yeah. I see what you mean there. So she was bursting. Like, that's a great point, because whenever we were playing against her, she was landing it on you. She made sure it lasted the entire time, chunked you, and then just hit you with a beam, basically. But there was a point where a phase with only blue boots got you to half HP as a Sparrow that was one level above her. That shit was actually crazy. He didn't even have Eldridge yet, but people were building Eldridge on her too.
Yeah, that burn on Eldridge is just even more with her. Like, it's insane. Like, it's almost like they're trying to make her where she's no longer a support. Like, the damage that she's able to do, it's like, holy cow.
Well, she still did hit damage before. It's just before it was based off of health regen and mana regen. Now, it's basically saying, hey, if you want to do damage, you have to build damage. You can't just build regen and get away with doing damage also.
Yeah, they just up the energy power scaling for it.
So they made it, they kind of repurposed it. So it's like, hey, we'll still let you do the damage, but that's going to be at the cost, at the fact that your regen ain't going to mean shit. And you saw, because that phase against us went in damage while I went regen, and we ended up winning that game. Because late game, even though she could do damage, she couldn't do shit to keep her team alive because she was all damage. So even though we kind of got bullied a little bit early on, we played it right and just, we kept our distance, kept you alive.
Fate's Gunblade right away because I had to. Like, I'm like, all right, well, this is like, I'm like,
but we played it right.
This item is quick. It was insane. I'm like, what in the world? But yeah. It definitely made the game go a little bit longer than normal because I wasn't able to scale fast enough.
It's viable. It's definitely viable, but I like the fact that they're basically, it's kind of like they did with Feng Mao. You have to choose damage or regen. You can't just build regen and get best of both worlds,
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Then Psychic Overload or R removed, no longer debuffs enemy units that are linked with phase. Also removed, no longer grants phase and a linked ally cooldown reduction or mana regeneration. Phase and her linked allies still gain the attack speed buff. New, Phase and allies within 800 units of her or her linked target now gain the movement speed buff, scaling with energy power, 3% movement speed per 100 energy power. Decaying movement speed increased from 30% at all levels to 30, 40, 50%. So this is just
rework. They basically changed the cooldown reduction for movement.
That was kind of Phase's problem, I think, is that she was very Phase is always focused on that early game, just her and one person.
And whoever she's linked to,
that's just always been her thing, and she doesn't really have that much utility outside of just keeping one person alive. And this will help a little bit with their team utility, just giving everybody a speed buff. It'd be like having Tiog.
I was gonna say, right. I built Tiog on her, and I ulted and popped Tiog, and I specifically said, nobody fucking tell Mangoose that I did this shit.
Well, you just told me.
That shit was cracked, bro. I legit, I was like, all right, Bear, get ready. I'm about to chase the squishy no matter what. I typed it in the chat because I knew the fight was coming. Bro, the moment I popped that, I saw a cracked out Boris just chasing all the squishies. They were like, what the fuck is going on with this bear? Oh, bro, I gotta say, I like it. It's a small change, but that extra little bit of movement speed really makes a big difference whenever you're in the middle of a team fight, for sure.
Well, now all of the supports except for Richter have that ability, right? Narbash has the movement speed buff. Muriel's got a move. Oh no, Muriel doesn't have a movement.
Muriel doesn't, and Steel doesn't. Muriel, but now there's at least somebody else that has.
Yeah, so you have somebody.
But it's not just Narbash and Decker.
Decker, Phase, and so my bad. But just make sure I'm reading this right. So whoever she's linked to is the only one that gets the attack speed buff on the ultimate. Everybody else just gets a movement speed that's in the area, correct? Okay. So we can't, like, you literally can't just team up as a team and just push one lane and just attack speed buff a tower, and just melt the tower. And
you're no longer rewarded for using her ultimate while you're linked to an enemy, really.
Well, but don't forget that the person she's linked to, though, Phase and that person still get the buff, the attack speed buff when you
right. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's why I linked the bear and then gave him all the movement speed and the attack speed. I was like, be free, Panda. Like, go fucking hunt this bitch down. And actually, it was kind of clutch. Kind of clutch for sure. I don't mind it.
Psychic Lance, her E, removed, no longer increases the slow percentage if the target has 8 or more stacks of the slow applied. New, Phase now gains 2 additional stacks of Psychic Attunement, her passive, for every target hero that has 8 stacks of the slow applied to themselves. Movement speed slow duration decreased from 0.8 seconds at all levels to 0.5 seconds at all levels. So they just kind of they nerfed the slow applied for her E, but
they increase her scaling. Yeah. I personally, the slow wasn't that bad when she was using it against us, but Lance still pokes. The mana cost is so fucking low. The range is crazy. Like, by the time that a good Phase will poke the shit out of you with that and still only be half mana.
Yeah, once they put the slow on her, because remember at first she wasn't slowed when moving laterally while using Psychic Lance, and that was a huge pain in the ass, because that's like the big drawback of using that, is that you're slowed in place and it makes you an easy target for a Richter or a Decker or anybody with any kind of hard CC to knock her out of it. But now that she has that, I don't really see that much problem with the Psychic Lance. Interested to see what these changes do.
I mean, now she has I didn't see a movement speed penalty for going left and right. They seem to, they're still going pretty fast.
I mean, they still go fairly fast, but not as fast. It used to be at first there was just no
penalty at all
for using her Psychic Lance, unless you were moving forward or backward.
I mean, perspectively, every time she used her lance, we were able to poke her fairly easily, right? We were Sparrow Phase, so there was very limited shit we could do to stop it. PPH.
Right.
But we at least every single time you were able to land every single snipe on her without a problem. You get me? So even if it's a small slow, it still, makes it a little bit easier to hit her.
I mean, but that's one instance. I play against Phase quite a bit recently, and they're not always that easy. I think that person's just not moving as much. The biggest thing with this lance, though, that I think that I see as an ADC main is the vision disruption that you get, like trying to actually last it, because all right, yeah, she's lancing me, but whatever, I need to also get my last hits on minions. It's like I lose so many last hits on minions because of the fact that I'm trying to figure out wait, was that almost time? Okay, I'm just gonna shoot in this direction because I believe that's where the minion's at now, because it's so much distortion to your screen that it's I don't know what just happened with that. So I miss a lot of CS with it. I just think there's a lot going on with that. I don't know if there's a way to make it not so distortion, or if that's part of the game. I don't know if that's all right, hey, that's the benefit of being her, is you get to do that, or what. But
I mean, it's a good point, because she is kind of all about that distortion, right? She fucks up your field of view. She blinds you and shit.
Yeah.
Enemy wise. So maybe that's just is her identity, to make it annoying as fuck. And I mean, even all the way since the Paragon days, it's hey man, there's a Phase in the lane. Got to get that bitch out of here. She is the focus.
Yeah, focus her first. Yeah, that was always the
100%.
thing. Like, stop hitting that ADC. Just go for her real quick.
But she's squishy too. Especially if she's building damage. She'll fucking get clapped real fucking quick. So
if you can see her.
If you can see her. Which I will say, and I can't believe I'm saying this being a carry main, I don't think you should be able to see those little red arrow indicators while you're blind.
Oh, you don't think so?
Like the little damage indicators, like if you get shot diagonal, like, because here's the thing, when a phase blinds you, unless you're going up against a god tier phase, they almost always are going to be like basic in your face. And I have killed so many phases because I'm blind, but out of nowhere, it's like arrow, bam, quick little flick, and start hitting that way. Hit marker, and I can see the hit markers when I'm blind. So I'm just like, all right, I know she's this way. Let's fucking go.
You're blind, not completely cut off from all senses. Like,
yeah, I guess I'm blind, not brain dead.
And I punched you. You would know where I punched you from. You know?
Yeah, I suppose.
I think they need to get rid of the whole black screen blind, anyways. I
think they should do it more like OverPrime.
They should do more of an OverPrime distortion,
like a blurred screen,
right, kind of that blur. You know, put a little motion blur on it, whatever, blur screen, like some kind of filter. You know, I don't care if it's a freaking Instagram filter or whatever. You know, snap filter. Put something on there that just makes it to where you can still see what you're doing, but like it doesn't. Just because it literally. For new people that don't know what's going on, they're gonna go in, they go get some phase off, and bam, screen's black. Well, shit, game just shut off on me. What happened? Or I lost power, or what? You know, like, you don't know. It's quite a quick thing to, happens. Like, what happened to that? And it's like, whoa, but a little startling. I just think that blur was good. I mean, because you're still. I mean, by
you imagine she blinds you. The only thing you see on the screen is a phase taking a selfie.
Yeah, you're legally blind. Yeah, right.
They just replace it with a total, like a picture in general, and be like, Beardus told us to put this here.
That's fine. That'd be great.
But yeah, I'll be real with you. I personally do think the change was healthy to her though, because even though a good phase player was annoying as shit, like you said, specifically the way that she worked before, late game she didn't provide too much team value. I like the change to her ult, right? Now people that like to build damage and are trying to apply damage now are actually doing so, instead of people building damage and be like, oh bro, I'm barely doing anything. I don't know what's wrong with this character. She sucks, because they didn't read the ability. But I mean, I'm not mad at it. Playing her, I saw her be impactful. I'm just really curious how she would be against all their carries like a Decker, I think that'll be other supports like a Decker. There you go. Brains. Anyway.
I was like, I mean, you could do it. It's not the greatest idea, but you can do it.
All right, I'm good to go on Sevrog if y'all want.
All right. Sevrog, big buffs to his Q, Siphon. Range increased from 450, 475, 500, 525, 552, 500, 525, 550, 570, and 600. Width increased from 180, 190, 200, 210, 222, 200, 210, 222, 32, 40. Cooldown change from 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 to 6 at all levels.
That's big.
I mean, kind of a little bit of a nerf to his, like, in
which one? I mean, okay, yeah, like super late game, but
Yeah.
I think this is an overall win, bro. He can get stacks faster. He can get stacks more effectively, specifically in lane also, because they increased the width and the range. Like, you know how many times in lane as a Sevrog you'll be there and you're like, Siphon, there's like 1 or 2 minions that are just barely out of range. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it.
You get 2 waves to stack up and they spread out. So now you Siphon, like, well, I already missed that. The side flares. It's like, all right, so you get a couple more in there now. So no, I agree. Definitely a buff here.
Yeah.
And it's needed. He's hardly used anymore. So something like that kind of help him, bring him back to life.
Yeah, the only Sevrog that I saw that played in any of our games, Bearded, was that one that built full damage and was having a rough time.
Oh,
yeah.
So I haven't really
that's-
seen much of them.
The comparison video that I've been working on is for Severog, where I'm comparing against, Predecessor, OverPrime, Fault. And I will say that his Q felt probably by far the worst in Fault. I'm going to have to re-record for that video because they made this change. And I do want to see what his Q feels like now, because it did feel the worst out of all of them. But there's definitely Severog's basic attacks in Fault, I think, are better than any of the other games. Even though all the other games, you get the swing, and then he comes overhead with it. In Fault, you just get a constant swing back and forth, but it makes it smoother. Like there's always a weird disconnect after that final drop of
overhead,
the hammer. And since Fault removed that, it's a lot better. And his sound effects in Fault are fucking outstanding compared to everybody else, because it sounds chunky. It sounds like you're whacking somebody with a hammer.
Give us too much of your video. I still want to watch.
Right? Shout out to Mike in the chat.
Fucking Uno deleted a lot of that video and I had to redo it, but now
Jesus.
And now I gotta fucking do this. Bro, I went to the bathroom, I come back, the cat's laying on the fucking keyboard. My Premiere was completely reconfigured. Like, I don't know what kind of goddamn buttons this cat hit, but like the video was gone, deleted. I had to go to
Control Alt delete
save of it, and it reconfigured my Premiere. Oh my God.
I thought you meant like you downloaded Uno and it like messed up a whole bunch of your stuff.
Oh,
I'm like,
Jesus.
Uno. I'm like, damn, well, I ain't gonna download Uno.
My cat's name is Uno.
In case y'all didn't know, his cat's name is Uno.
Because he's only got one life.
Ooh,
Yeah.
one life left. Yikes. But no, shout out to Mike in the chat. It's Mike TV. He did mention a very valid point. He's not used because a very popular carry item is a direct counter to Severog, Titan Slayer.
Yeah. Yep.
Like legit, the tankier somebody is, the more damage Titan Slayer does. And every carry runs Titan Slayer. It's like the go-to. Like,
No, not. I mean, if you have a Severog, yes, right. It's all based on team comps, right? I've won against squishy team comps. I don't put Titan Slayer on. I instantly go for more, for other, attack,
more burst damage, etc. I mean, yeah, makes sense.
Whatever, but I've had those. I'm like, all right, well, shit, I'm not going to build Titan Slayer this match. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, all right, let's figure out what would the build order here, So
I mean, Real Easy also has a great point. If we remove Titan Slayer, then we're back in tank meta. Like Titan Slayer was. So we're trying to prevent a tank meta, but we have a character that his sole purpose is to become a tank as the game goes on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So how do they find a good spot for him? Because for example, this siphon buff essentially makes it so he can get his stacks faster, yep, and honestly does quite a bit more damage in general. Like, and he's casting it faster and it does more damage, so that's just overall buff right there. But
so Goose, we're gonna catch you up real quick. We're trying to figure out right now, Severog, the reason Mike says is that the reason that you don't see Severog in game often is because of Titan Slayer counters him hardcore, right? So, and then Real Easy said that if we got rid of Titan Slayer though, then we go back to the tank meta that we had. So we're trying to come up with an idea of what we could do to help Severog, but also stay away from that tank meta. And that's kind of what we're at.
Severog's just always been a late game hero. If we could somehow even, accentuate that a little bit more.
Right, but isn't that counterintuitive when you're trying to make and balance a game that's over in 30 minutes or less, but you have a character that doesn't scale to like 45 minutes or more?
I mean,
sometimes.
Severog's just always been like that, man. He's just always been like that, even in Paragon.
I think the really only way to do it is to have an item for tanks that doesn't completely counter Titan Slayer, but helps counter Titan Slayer. And how to make that, I'm not an item guy, I wouldn't know how to do that, but there would be something that you'd have that just would, Titan Slayer is not going to do as much to it.
Well, there's already a couple of them. Like you got Thorn Shield reflects part of the crit damage, which Titan Slayer does give you crit. And then you also have Argus Cataphract, which slows down the attack speed. You put those 2 items on, you've successfully countered a carry.
Give me an item that's not obviously as high those stats, right? Whatever those stats are, you know, that little bounce back, but give me an item that does both of that. One item, so you're not using 2 slots to counter that.
I think it might be more of having an item in the game that highlights his strengths. Like, you know how we have a Fist of Titan? How the more health you have, the more power, right? Maybe make it something a little bit just more specific to him that he could use, but other people could use as well. Maybe like a Kwang, right? Like the more health you get a 0.1% of pen based off of every 200 health or some shit like that. You get what I'm saying? So the more HP you have, the more pen you get. Just throwing an idea out there. I don't even know if that would be valid.
But you just giving him pen though, how is that going to stop an ADC from melting him down?
Well, it's not. I'm trying to say it as to the point that the pen, along with like this siphon buff, maybe it's not about the fact that the ADC can melt him down. Maybe it's the fact that maybe he'll be able to melt the ADC down faster because the ADC is the squishier one. You get me? Maybe not take the ADC's power away, but make him more vulnerable through it if he doesn't build armor.
A tank isn't meant to be sitting there doing damage. A tank is meant to sit there and take damage.
Hey, that's a Greystone.
Huh?
Say that's a Greystone.
Well, I mean, Greystone's he was originally built to be a carry, so that's the issue you have with that. Sevarog was never built to be a carry. So, in this regard, when we're talking about Sevarog, his whole point is to sit there and peel and take damage. So that's what I'm saying. Give me an item that I can use, because if you give me that item that does both, right, that's an item slot, right? And then I also put Thorn Shield on. It does. I can basically double that or triple that situation of that, reflecting that damage back. Then I'm not getting melted as fast, but I'm also hurting the ADC a little bit more too, to where maybe I might die, but now my team can help clean that up because they've done some damage to themselves.
I think that this cooldown reduction to his Q is what's going to help. Like, that's going to help him. Like, just getting his stacks faster will get him
and doing more damage overall.
And he'll be dangerous before the ADC can build Titan Slayer. And if you get that far ahead and then they get to where the Titan Slayer is having a big impact on the game, well, then that's your fault for not fucking ending the game a little faster, for not keeping that ADC down.
So Orithium and Real Easy have been having an interesting chat in the Twitch chat that's going on Bearded's channel. But I want to mention one thing that they mentioned earlier. There are Sevrogs out there that have gotten full stacks at a very quickly rate. Like, they got fed early, right? And I'm with Orithium. Like, I've gotten full stacks in the 20-ish minute match, right? But that's got to be like, that's proper execution. That's like, like everything ran right. Stacked the Raptor, stacked every kill, every gank I got, But I mean, would the problem just be solved by putting Sevarog as just labeling him as a very difficult hero for like experts or whatever that people understand, instead of just having like a new person try him out and be like, "Yes, this guy just sucks. He's so big but so squishy."
I don't know.
Because I'm not mad at the skill back. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Empty says, don't get where you get the fact a tank shouldn't do damage when his passive literally scaling AP damage on his abilities. You gotta be obviously able to do damage. I'm just saying when you're building tank, you're not looking to sit there and be a carry. You're not looking to sit there and do crazy amounts of damage. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're trying to be, when you're building tank, you're building to be a tank. You're not building, that's the whole point of Titan Slayer. Titans, the more, health you have, the more you go up. Titan Slayer's able to do damage to. Like, that's the whole point of it. Like, that's where we're coming from. He's not building. It's not the Sevarog that was building red all red. That's Titan Slayer is not going to do as much damage to that Sevarog because he's not building tank. That's I guess I don't know. To me, that's how it makes sense to me. But I'm not the master player. I don't know. That's just how it makes sense to me.
I don't know. I think this is a good change for Sevarog, and I think we're going to see some improvements and a little bit more play out of him just with this
I definitely think this
change to his Q.
So I agree. The fact that cooldown changes, especially early game, that's going to be the huge for sure. So I definitely think this is going to help improve it. I just don't know. You have to take advantage of that early game. If you're playing Sevarog and you're going to because the carrier is going to put Titan Slayer on. So you have to take advantage of that early game cooldown and get that, get those stacks. So if you can start getting those stacks and get those kills, you can start building up to where you're doing more damage off your stacks. Then yeah, that'd be the way to do it.
Still say Titan Slayer shouldn't have crit me though. Like you shouldn't have a tank busting item and it's a crit item on top of it. Like I think it should be more focused on the specific goal. Is this a tank busting item? That's what it is. Is it a crit and attack speed item? That's what it is. Is it crit and damage? That's what it is. I don't think it should give you damage plus the on hit effect plus crit. Those are my 2 cents.
Let's move on to this last one. Items general. Starting items bonus basic attack damage to minions now scales with hero level from 10 to 35 based on hero level. So they're not quite as useless later into the match. Kind of cool. I like this change. It's just general quality of life improvement.
I noticed it when I decided to go Bellica and started off with the mana shard instead because I wanted to be greedy and build stacks earlier. I definitely noticed the fact that I wasn't hitting minions as hard as I could have been as the game progressed forward. Like very, very slightly, but in those first 10 minutes, it was definitely a noticeable difference. Like I was like, fuck, bro. I got greedy. I wanted the extra stacks, but I can't fucking get a stack because I'm not, like, my last hit is shit on the Bellica, bro. So I like it. I think it's an overall healthy change. It gives people more of a reason to keep that starter item longer. Where before, you just see a lot of people sell it just at the convenience of getting that first full item or something like that.
Yeah, good change all around, I think.
Now,
that closes out the patch, though.
True, that closes out the patch. Now, I want to ask community members, specifically, like people in the chat.
I mean, everybody in chat.
Yep, where everybody in the Twitch chat that's here live right now. I want to ask a hypothetical. What if on whatever dev stream, when's the dev stream? I'm so horrible with these days, bro. On the 13th, thank you. So what if on the 13th, Strange Matter announces that they're either going to reduce the price, let's just say from 10 to 5, or that they're going to go free to play? When you guys hear that as a community, huh?
250. Let's reduce it to 250.
Oh, okay. $2.50. What the fuck?
99 cents. What are we doing here?
Hey man, he's saying this is fault, so it's going to be $2.57, but you got to carry over the 3 and the 5 that are after it. But let's just say if they do announce anything like that, as a community, do you like those news or no? Do you like the fact that they're making it, that they might make it easily accessible? Or do you think it's a bad choice? I want to see yays or nays in the chat. Specifically. Give it a couple seconds for they to catch up. Now, while they give yays or nays, Bearded, Goose, tell me, yay or nay, do you think it's a good thing if they make the game more accessible the way it is right now?
Goose wanted it free to play before, July 17th, 2019.
But so that could change. You feel me? That opinion could change. Like, for example, especially somebody that that's having optimization issues like you, Bearded. Not everybody's having them. How do you feel?
I mean, like I said earlier in this episode, I want a patch just before they drop this big shiny patch, because I feel like we need to have a chance to test any optimization possible fix for this issue, right? If we go back before this DX12 patch, everyone, to my knowledge, was feeling pretty good. There were some iffy, PCs that weren't doing the greatest, but those are an iffy piece. It's an iffy PC. Like if you have that slow of a rig, you're not going to have the greatest, optimization out of it anyways, right? But for people that have the decent to where they're at, like we're doing good with our PCs, I was doing really well. Optimization is obviously going to continue being a thing. We're going to continue to optimize, but every time we do an optimization patch, we shouldn't be taking a step back. That's what we got to figure that out, right? But I want to figure this out so when we do the big shiny patch, the new people come in. But I do think even if we can't figure it out, the game itself capped at 60, it's still, a pretty good game. So I think it's definitely worth going free to play.
Interesting.
Oh, it's capped at 60 anyway. No, I think.
Well, that's because you're playing on a tube TV. You don't have the ability to have anything above 30. So what's the point?
It's in black and white.
Oh, bro. His volume level goes from 37 to 100 for it.
to auxiliary.
Oh, shit. I fucking can't, bro.
I've got like yellow, white, and red cables plugged into the back of it.
Right?
Hey, man. Those TVs were clutch, bro. I literally had a wooden TV for the longest until I eventually bought my own flat screen, bro. I didn't get no fancy TV growing up, bro. Shout out to those wooden TVs. Had to get up and turn that fucking knob.
Right.
No, I think anything that increases the accessibility of the game is good. And I like Bearded said, I think they should have been free to play for longer than they are now. I think that the amount of people that just cruise on Steam and look for free to play games is a lot. There's a lot of people that do that. And now these people, if it is free to play, are going to find it. The problem right now is that they're finding it and that it's not actually free to play because it shows up as free to play on Steam, which I think that's a Steam thing, not a Strange Matter thing.
Yeah.
It shows up free to play?
It does.
So we did that free to play weekend when we did that Twitch event thing or whatever, and Steam never reverted that.
Bro, I would be salty as shit if I clicked on a game that said free to play and it's not. Mm-hmm. Even before I try it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's just I clicked on free to play. Let me go back and double check that bitch. Yo. Okay, so that's probably just like a miscommunication or a Steam issue, probably, right?
Yeah. So
that sucks.
Because of that, that's a great conversation and switches because Real Easy says free to play time, send it. All right. I've also seen Real Easy talking to some other Discords and they talk about and he says it here. If you make it a free to play game, it's going to be the newly free to play games on Steam. So when you go to free to play, the newly free to play games are up top, right? And then if they are trending, then they obviously will stay up top for longer, right? Since Steam already considers it free to play, would that still be pushed to the top to a newly free to play game?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they would have to switch it to paid and then switch it back to free to play. I don't fucking know how that whole Steam shit works.
I'm just saying because if it doesn't do that, we would lose out of that advertisement. Yeah. That limelight, that would be a good way to say it. So that'd be no bueno.
I didn't even know that shit was going on. I'm so
yeah, I've had people comment on For the Minions a couple times, and
yep, I've seen people ask in Gen Chat. I've seen people ask me in my Discord, in my streams. So
I do see. It looks like Empty said nay, like you said. Real Easy said and the free to play. I'm really curious as to why Empty would say nay.
Yes and no.
Why? I want to hear in the chat why no. Oh shit, Empty just put a paragraph. I guess he read my mind. What the hell? Those people who find the game free will try it out and have high standards. They won't care where the game started from or how big the dev team is. They will judge the game on the first impressions. With its minimal content, non-ranked play, very small hero pool, lack of updates, which always come out half right. I do think all those high expectations could be knocked down with a simple welcome to our free-to-play beta or whatever the fuck they want to call it, right? And then at that point, they can literally just say, the game is a work in progress. Any bugs that you have, please do report them here. Like, we've seen other games do that successfully.
Right.
Set the expectation that it is a work in progress. This is by small indie dev team. Any help that you provide us will help us in the long haul. Thank you so much for helping make this game better. You can destroy that expectation by setting your own.
So I think it would exceed expectations for me too, if I knew nothing about the game at all. If I'd never played Paragon or anything, if I was just the average Steam user, just looking for free games, I don't expect much out of a free game whenever I play it. So whenever I get something as complete as Fault, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, shit, this is pretty cool. You know, I've been playing a lot of beta games lately, and not all of them are fucking up to snuff. And I think Fault definitely is on the higher end of the better free to play games out there.
And when you get into that game and you try it out and you're like, all right, this is actually pretty decent, I'm enjoying it. You know, yeah, it doesn't have ranked, but you do some more research. You become a part of the Discord and you start talking to people and you find out that ranked is on the table. We're just waiting for when that happens or whatever. Or for all we know, that could be something they talk about in the dev stream on Wednesday. You know, like hey, ranked is coming, you know, in August of 2024 or whatever. Maybe that's too far away, 2023 or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. They could tell you when it's happening, and then we could at least, you know, then the new people will know, all right, ranked is coming this time or whatever. We might get more information when that happens. Who knows? But
Empty says they need devs and money. Haven't really been getting either. Hope they prove me wrong, but they can't keep this pace on a game, which is even more out there. D-Trigger has a great counter. You can make Fault free to play and simply still have the hero packs, like pay to unlock them all up front. Like, they could still have a form of revenue. They're just eliminating that barrier to entry, which I guess argument could be made that is their biggest form of revenue, probably. I don't know if that's accurate. It could be skins and shit.
If they go free to play, they need to. If they go free to play, season 1 needs to follow it like real soon. The season 1 pass, because that's going to be another form of their.
They need the content.
Season 0 was 2 years ago, right? Well, I mean, it didn't end, 2 years ago, but it started 2 years ago, right? We need.
Damn, it has been 2 years.
Yeah, in 9 days it'll be 2 years. So
wow. I forget. I even got a kid now. Holy shit.
So we need another season, but that would be another form of income, right? And like D-Trigger says, you could do the, maybe bring that price down for that hero pass or whatever, or the hero, to unlock heroes, or maybe raise it up. I don't know. It can stay the same for all I care. I don't know, but it's another form of income. But season pass needs to be that way. They need to have skins ready, to be purchased as well, or at least drop skins, have a nice little drip of skins that are coming out every so often, maybe a hero, patch, and then like in between the next hero patch, you have a skin patch, like it drops a skin patch. That sounds bad. You have like
I want to get that checked out.
Yeah, right. Something like that.
Some medical.
But yeah, there's ways of them to get the income. But I mean, I'm basing this off of the other games that we know that we're comparing it to, right? I'm not comparing this to League of Legends, because if you compare the player pool of a hero pool of League of Legends to this, then yeah, we obviously have one hero. They have their 3,000. But like, so comparing this to OverPrime and Predecessor, like, correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure League of Legends had less available heroes in the roster when they went public. Pretty sure.
They also could be wrong. But they also didn't have the competition that we have.
Fair enough.
We're also competing against League of Legends, so that's what I'm saying. I can only compare this to Uno just shut the light off on Mangoose.
Yeah.
It went complete black, and then he turned the light back on. And then he took off. He was like, fuck that, I'm out. But anyways, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Fault has the most playable characters in the game.
Like the biggest roster, at least currently.
Right.
I think that's
That's
true.
all we can base it on.
Yeah. I think that's true. As far as we speak, they do have the most amount of
24.
implemented characters.
24 in Fault, and I don't think the other ones reach 20 just yet.
There have been announcements of other games adding a character or two, but Fault is still ahead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. OverPrime had more before they got picked up by Netmarble, but they
took them off.
took them off. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm only going off of the last playable test that we've been able to do with all three of these games. Fault's got the most playable characters. So I don't know. I don't know if you can really compare that to, if you can use that as a reason not to.
I mean, I think it's a fair argument. I think you make a fair argument because if roster matters before going free to play, I guess the argument on Fault's side would be they are the most equipped to handle that roster argument.
Right.
So I see what you're saying.
He said last week he already thinks that OverPrime's going to go free to play on their early access launch.
Yeah.
So, and if they have a lower player hero pool, then wouldn't that be a negative for them in Empty's eyes?
The Trigger says people are used to not having all the players. Getting all the champs on League of Legends is $650. I can tell you for damn sure it don't got every champion. Fuck that. Nope.
I don't even have it downloaded on my PC anymore. I got rid of it.
I didn't like it.
But I think you hit the nail on the head.
24 is big enough. In his opinion.
I mean, bro, 24 is big enough that, because think of it like this. In my opinion, it really comes down to variety and being able to avoid mirror pick, right?
Right.
So to avoid mirror picks, you just need 10. But you want to have at least 1 or 2 characters per role to have variety. So it's not just the same 10 characters being recycled, right? And at 24, it gives you at least 1 or 2 per role and then some.
That's almost 2.5 games that you could go and not see the same, like, and see all different characters.
If you time it properly, yeah.
Right. Because you got 10 and 10 would be one game, and then the other one, you have 4 new characters in your other one that you'd see 6 reused characters. You know, if you did it, just that way, like that's almost 2.5 games. Like in a sense, I'm saying I'm counting characters as a game, right? In that situation, like that's pretty good amount, And then you're gonna have reused characters, right? And if you pepper that in, there's a good chance you're not gonna see the same team comp every time. And that's the biggest thing about it, I think, is you're gonna get, when you see the same team comp every time, that's when you're starting like, okay, I'm just literally going through and repeating all my motions right now. When you have to change things up to a different hero, then it makes things a little bit different. It kind of gets rid of the monotony. So
I don't know. I think they're in a good state right now to go free to play if they do decide to do so, and I think it'll be good for them. Hopefully, it brings in a lot of new players. Beating a dead horse here. The fucking player base is their biggest issue. They've got a pretty good solid game. Yeah, they have optimization issues every now and then, but they got a pretty good solid game. It's just that people don't stick with it because they get their teeth kicked in by people that are way more experienced than them. As soon as they get in, even a bronze fucking elo, they're getting fucking destroyed. So, and if they could actually have some even matchups where they could grow and learn along with others as they're playing, people would stick around with the game a lot more. So
to do that, though, we would need a huge, or not huge, a decent increase to the player base.
Yes.
I think 1,000 or more is what.
We can't
at least
pepper them in. We can't have the 20 that come in from the movie release. We can't have the 20 that come in from the dev stream. We got to have a good influx of players to come in. So then those players, a good amount of those players stay to then bring in more players to have that, we can't just pepper them in here and there. That's going to be the issue. And that's where they got to do whatever they're going to do marketing wise. That's going to be something that's going to help fix that situation. Because that's the one thing you can hang your hat on is the fact that, hey, the one thing, yes, they have a little player base, but they haven't done any marketing. Okay. Well, that's an unproven thing for them. So
it's still a gray area. I get that.
How's it going to be? Right. It can be a positive. Yes. But it also can be a negative. If you don't do good on marketing, well, that was your one thing. We were like, hey, that's the one thing that can still keep us here. And if you don't do good on it, how are we going to do this? How are we going to fix it? How are we going to right the ship? That's going to be the issue.
I'm going to give a shout out to Real Easy and FPG. Making new players start with even less elo, probably a smart thing because you do have a shit ton of experienced people in that whole.
Yeah, you're pretty much
800, 900.
The elo you start.
And on top of that, it would be super sweet before they go free to play to have an auto buy for the new players. Like, people like us are just going to disable it. But so somebody can just get in there and play. They don't even have to worry about building. They're like, I'll be honest, I don't know the items, but as they learn, they can kind of start doing their own thing. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that would be super clutch. And we've seen in other games, something as simple as that, it confuses the fuck out of experienced players at first. Because they're like, what the fuck? I didn't buy this. But I have seen a lot of new players be like, hey, I'm just playing. I don't got to worry about it. I don't have I don't want, there's a lot of players out there that just don't want to take the time to have to learn to build. They just want to get on and play with the homies. A lot of casuals. And auto buy solves that for a lot of people. That might be big. I don't know how much effort that would take. Probably less effort than AI though, right?
I would think so.
Empty brings up a good point that people, if it's free, then it's easier for people to make alt accounts. People that are extremely high elo can smurf easier. However, I think if you do have 1,000 people coming in, 100 people making alt accounts is going to be a drop in the bucket overall.
Yeah,
you are going to have games where you play against massively overpowered people, but in the end,
as long as it doesn't happen as frequent, right?
Yeah,
right. And I think that's so. There is no perfect scenario. There's no perfect solution to this, right? You're going to have the people that are making the alt accounts, so we can't stop that from happening. So it's going to happen. We can't fix it. Sorry. The only thing we can do is try to get the influx of new players to be higher and a good amount higher than the alt accounts.
Like the pros outweighing the cons.
Right. Exactly. So that's a 1,000 to 100. That's a 1 to 10 ratio, right? Or am I wrong? Was that a 1 to 100 ratio?
A 1 to 10. Yeah. 1
to 10 ratio. Yeah. So you can play 9 games and not have to see an alt account. That would be pretty fucking good. Right now, you're not. You're lucky to play 2 games and not seeing an alt account.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the benefit's coming from it. It's fucking black over there. You say something so they see you full screen.
I can't even turn it back on. He fucking unplugged the.
Goose is literally just a bald floating head right now.
I am Zor.
Yo, he's fucking Zordon, bro.
Nice.
Oh shit, but no, we're getting at about that time that we typically wrap it up, right? So I just want to, if you made it this far, please drop a GG in the comments, in the chat. Let us know you're your thug for actually making it this far. But I do want to remind people, and in case you don't know, there is going to be a dev stream around the corner. What was that day again?
13th.
13th. Thank you.
Thank you. This Wednesday coming up.
Heard. So this Wednesday coming up, there will be a dev stream. They've been talking about it for a bit, saying that there's big things, right? We've been speculating for a little bit. Hopefully, it'll meet expectations. You get me? I'm very curious to see how it's all going to be organized, how they're going to announce the flow of information and stuff like that. Is it going to be similar to past dev streams? Do they have something newer planned? So I'm definitely intrigued. Do we know what time it's going to happen? What was that?
I don't know the time.
I don't think they had a time yet.
Okay. Damn, I hope I'm not at work when that shit happens.
Before we finish it, though, really easy, it says if they launch with ranked and you add a wall, maybe getting certain number of heroes mastered and account level before you join it, Smurfs will still Smurf, but most people are gonna say not worth my time to make a new account to go through all of that just to go to get ranked again.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. I don't know.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, Smurfs are still going to happen, even with like millions of players. I'll use League of Legends as an example. Even with millions of players, even with deterrence, like, hey, you got to get to a certain level before you can do ranked or whatever. People still do it. Like, you're not going to be able to stop it. But I think it's more the fact that you won't run into it as often.
Right, and I think that's
in the bigger
what he's saying. I think that's what he's saying. If you don't put those walls there, or those things that they have to get past for that situation, then it's going to happen even easier. You know, it's going to be real easy to do that. But if you put those walls there, it'll make it a little more challenging, and people are like, all right, it's not worth my time tonight. I'm just going to go on my regular account.
Trigger saying 50 casual games before you can even do ranked. I see. But again, back to the dev stream. Just trying to encourage everybody, go watch that shit. We're going to be doing a partner panel shortly after that dev stream. So
2 days after.
2 days after, correct. So you best believe we're going to be watching there. Hopefully, fingers crossed, some of the shit that we've been talking about is either going to get confirmed or denied. It'd be even better if it gets directly addressed. Be like, all right, answer to this shit. Bet. Hopefully we get some dates, because I'm always want to be like, hey man, I want to know when y'all are doing this. I'd love to hear something console related, even if it's just a simple, and now we're shifting our focus towards this. Even if they don't give me a timeline on that, mentioning it, just saying, hey, this is now on the horizon. That'll be cool, right? Right. But yeah, man, everybody tune in. I'm excited to see how that goes, for sure. That's my 2 cents. I know we went out of order. What do y'all got to say?
I am the alpha and the omega. That's all I got to say.
Oh, give me my Morpher Zordon.
No, I mean, I agree. I'm excited for it. What I liked about their little announcement of the dev stream is it was pretty much going to tell you about the movie that was already announced by other entities. So they're going to talk about the movie, which the movie comes out the 15th, also the day that we're doing the partner panel. So we'll have that to talk about as well. I don't think I'll have it watched by the time we do the partner panel, so I still won't know anything about the movie until that time. But what I liked about the announcement is they said that they're going to talk about the movie and more to come, and the future of Fault. So that to me is huge. Like, I don't know if we're going to get a roadmap. I don't know if if it's the free to play, if that's going to be something they're talking about. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited for it to see what it, and I'm hoping it's not just one thing. I'm hoping it's this on top of this on top of this. It's a big, huge fucking infomercial. But wait, there's more, and we get something else.
I'll be okay with a tweet that says #thank you Fault partner panel. Oh, yeah. So and then put in their # not goose.
Right. Because he wouldn't see the tweet anyways, because he doesn't have Twitter.
Oh, poor guy. You leave him alone, bro.
Fuck.
Send him a letter through USPS or some shit like that. He'll get it. Jesus. But
so, yeah.
Goose, you got anything to add as far as the dev stream or anything like that?
No, just really looking forward to the dev stream. I want to see what all they're going to announce. Hopefully, like Real Easy said, hopefully it's going to be the big push.
Fingers crossed, fam. And guys,
nice thrust.
can't with them. Be quiet. So anyway, in case you guys didn't know, these podcasts do get posted as far as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, while also they do go live on YouTube the week after, but we do stream them live on Fridays on Bearded Wolverine's channel. So if you want an opportunity to watch it live and interact, you can do so. If you can watch it after the fact, we have other forms of media to be able to do so. But as a whole, we just want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in today. Thank you for the support, and we will catch you all on the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
Windu, are you sponsored by Wooler? Is that why this ad's playing?
Bro, I have no idea why that ad is playing.